You might have issues if doing that and this make you smile. Hello everybody, Durzo here on a lovely, rainy, dreary day. But you can tell by looking at the grass, we desperately need it. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about our 89 McBride here. And as the video title kind of suggests, here's what happens when water and time meet metal. Yeah. That's a lot of yuck. This is what happens when you do something very foolish and go, yeah, sight unseen, sure, a little rough, yeah, that's not a problem, I can work with that. And then you start tearing into things. And you start finding this. It's lovely. So, yeah, from a distance, maybe not so bad, a little bit of sheet metal, right? And then you take the floors out, and you start coming further down, and then you start noticing things like, oh, I don't know, that hanger isn't actually connected to anything other than that tiny, tiny, tiny thin piece. It's about 3 millimeters thick steel at one tiny plate. That is it. Now that's the actual frame of the trailer, so all the weight is actually going to be resting on this. It's the side rails, and then all the crossbars attached to it, and that's the floor lays on. But over there, what I think is semi giving it structure is you can see they've got welds on the frame for the body, which actually is a halo of metal around the outer edge supporting the body there. They've got little welds every so often going down the way. But even that, again, right here, there's nothing there. There's no structure, really. Like, because this bar can't be supporting anything, really, because guess what? It doesn't exist over here. It doesn't follow the way through. And then this top part of the frame can't be supporting anything, because over here, it doesn't exist. Yeah. So I think what's actually giving it structure is this back bumper and frame, and then it goes up on this post, and then there's a halo of metal all the way around the edge, and then it comes back down on the outer post, because these center ones, they would be helping to support, but again, there's nothing on the bottom, so they can't really support any weight. So yeah, that's what's essentially holding this thing together, I think, is these 4 posts and that upper halo. So that's fun. But yeah, what the story was with this trailer is it was a young couple who had some horses, nothing special or fancy, and they needed a trailer. They bought it cheap. They moved the horses once. And it sat. It sat and it sat and it sat and it sat. And obviously this side, I would say, is probably what was in the field. And grass, trees, bushes, whatever, plant life, just happened to grow up and around and hold all the water, and as the plants breathe, they breathe out oxygen. Well, what is rust? Rust is the oxidization of metal, which means it's reacting with oxygen and you're getting this. So normally you don't have, oxygen being made and held right against the metal. Well, if it's being surrounded by plant life, guess what? It's not only holding moisture, but literally breathing oxygen straight onto what's become bare metal, and you get this kind of rot. Isn't that lovely? On this side I already hacked off one of the fenders because it was already half air. So that's so I can actually get to all the sheet metal and try and replace that. We do have a sort of back half of the actual trailer frame being made for us. And then I'm going to try and sort of cut out these sections of the body frame, these lower sections, and repair this. And we'll see if I can't splice in good metal for that. I mean, the springs, hubs, everything's fine that way. These brakes, I don't know, I'm gonna have to take the drums off and see what it's actually like inside, but given the fact that it sat long enough that happened to it, I'm guessing those brakes are garbage, but we'll see. The drums don't actually look too bad, so they might be able to be turned so I don't at least have to get drums. The front here is still like, yeah, it's rusty, but everything is absolute rock solid on the front here. Like it's just surface rust. And that's the thing, you have varying degrees of rust when it comes to damage. You have, surface scale like this, where, there's nothing to it, it's nice, it's basically smooth, just some bare metal, and it's been exposed to the elements, it starts to oxidize. Then you slowly get to where it starts to pit like this. So this has been exposed a little bit longer than this stuff has. And you start to get this pitting. So it's a little rough, but you could still take like a grinder, and as long as the metal itself is thick enough. Sorry about all the traffic. Long weekend after all. You could grind this off and make that back to good and seal it up with paint, and it'll be fine forever and a day. Once you get past that stage, you get into what this is, this is obviously the other fender. This is very rough. It's full of scale and flake, and if you hit it with a hammer even, you're gonna start seeing stuff, like that, flaking off, pieces of this material flake off. At that point, it's literally the on life support. It's the do or die. You're at the point of no return. Either fix it now or forever hold your peace, because it's going back to nature. After that, what you get is that and that. Like I said, this is maybe a better view of what this sort of flake looks like. I've already hit this so that most of the really loose stuff's already come off. But yeah, that's the process that rust takes, the steps it sort of goes through, phases it goes through. So yeah, this is what we've got. We've got 2 horses right now. And we're getting a third, and we have about a month and a half to get that up and running and back to where it should be to be on the road. It doesn't have to be pretty, it really doesn't, but it needs to work. It really does need to work. Yeah, we'll see what happens. With any luck, I can really start hacking into it here soon. It needs that metal replaced badly, and that's sort of the next step, is to take off that other fender and start cutting out the rot and put in new fresh metal, and we'll see what happens. Oh, there's Hudson. There's a little puppy. He's enjoying this weather. He's part husky, so hot weather and him don't really get along, so he's liking these 19-degree days instead of 40. But yeah, we'll see what happens. With any luck, that'll get done soon, and then it's on to the Le Mans. Yeah, again, Look what happens when things sit in farmers' fields and grass gets to grow up and around and through metal. Because everywhere where it was protected, like, oh, I don't know, where that fuel tank was protected from the gassing and from the grass growth. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Isn't that pretty? But then you go just outside of where it was and rot and rust and what looks like it should have come off of the Titanic. So, lesson being, what do you want to go inside, bud? Lesson being, if you're going to store something, if you're not going to drive, say, that truck, or use a trailer, a car, a camper, an ATV, side by side, anything made of metal, don't put it on grass. Don't do it. You're just gonna wreck the investment in owning that kind of thing. You know, don't put it over in a copse of trees, because guess what? Just as bad. They're gonna grow into it. If you're gonna store something like even this, yes, it's not enclosed. Yes, the elements can still kind of get to it, but you know what? Pavement. Nothing's gonna really grow up through that. There's nothing going to grow into the sides of it. There's nothing going to fall from above unless we have something like a hurricane or whatever, in which case I've got more problems to worry about than a little bit of rust. So, yeah, someplace like this, at the least, is what you need. Not one of those carports things that, you know, the little tents, whatever they actually call them. There's a million and one different names. You don't need one of those. What you need is a proper enclosed space like this where nothing's gonna grow in through. But yeah, words of wisdom or insanity, who knows? Me, it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other. But yeah, hopefully next time I talk to you, it won't be quite so rainy, and we'll see what we can get done on that. Can't exactly say as always, as this is only my second video, but like, comment, subscribe, and we'll talk soon.